Hey everybody, today we have a legendary tier list for 7 Nights Rebirth. It's going to be for each legendary unit, showing you what parts of the game that they're actually good in, so you know who you should be working on. And when talking about their skills, I'm going to be referring to Transcendent 6 skills, just so we get a good idea of what they're capable of. Also, to speed everything up, I'm going to rank them as I explain them with a little bit of editing, just because that rare tier list I did was, I think it was too long. So let's get started. First up, we have my boy PASCAL. Skill 1 resets the cooldown of Skill 2, plus gives himself an all damage nullification. Skill 2 deals defense ignoring damage with 100% crit rate boost once you get him transcended. His passive gives himself a crit damage boost and a magic attack boost. And this guy hits like a damn truck, and I love him for it. He's so good. And he's specifically good in Hell Castle for Castle Rush. I also am not, I gotta reset this tier list every time just to refill it out, and I'm not using D tier, so you'll either see that the whole time or I might edit it out. Well, we'll have to see how I feel. Just letting you know why D tier's even there. So next up we have ESPADA. Hits a single target with skill 1 that inflicts magic vulnerability. Skill 2 consumes 4 stacks of purified magic, deals damage equal to 32% of the target's HP plus high regular damage on top of that. Her passive gives her purified magic stacks when enemies die, and it also gives her magic resistance. Pretty much only going to be using her for the Ox King. So next we have Beedum. His basic attack can inflict bleed. Skill 1 hits 3 enemies with piercing damage and can also inflict bleed. Skill 2 hits 3 enemies, damages them, and detonates bleed stacks at 1.2 times their normal damage, while his passive gives himself a physical damage boost and a self-heal. For Castle Rush, he's good in Death Castle, Ancient Dragon, and Blizzard. Also for the Gold and Light dungeons, he's only this tier if you're using bleed. So like if you're using bleed to count down the shield on the light dungeon mushroom, Pochi, that's what they're called. He can help tick those bleeds off, making the shield drop faster. And gold, he just helps tick off the bleed stacks for damage. So if you're not using a bleed team for either one of these, they are going to be an F tier. Now we have Amelia. She attacks 3 enemies with skill 1 and can stun them and gives herself a barrier. Her skill 2 attacks the 2 enemies with the highest defense, applies unable to recover, and inflicts 55% HP alteration. Her basic buffs her effect hit, gives her a free revive, and gives 2 allies a barrier plus 3 debuff removals. Pretty much only good in Nightmare Adventure for that HP alteration, but she's not bad in any one of these either. Now we have MIHO, our newest legendary. She hits 3 enemies with skill 1, inflicts magic vulnerability with extra damage on weakness hit, while applying 2 debuff removals to the back row allies. Skill 2 hits 3 enemies, inflicts buff duration reduction plus extra damage on weakness hit, so you really want to build her with weakness hit if you're going for the damage with her. Her passive gives allies lifesteal after using 2 skills and gives herself a weakness hit damage boost plus guts once per battle. Really good in Castle Rush for the Guardian, Fodina, and Immortal castles. Really good in Tower of Trials as well. Now we got Daisy. Skill 1 deals damage plus max HP base damage at 26%. Skill 2 buffs allies magic attack and inflicts 1 buff removal on all enemies plus deals damage. Her passive gives all allies petrify immunity on battle start and then after basic attacks, plus magic attack boost to 2 allies, plus a barrier to all allies. Really good in the Gold Dungeon, especially good in Ox King. She's basically just built straight for Ox King. TAKA is up next. Skill 1 hits 3 enemies with additional crit damage. Skill 2 hits 3 enemies plus bonus damage to targets under 30% HP, plus it ignores defense. His passive applies a physical damage taken increase debuff after using 2 attacks and gives himself damage nullification after using skills once. Really good in the Castle Rush for Death, Ancient Dragon, and Blizzard castles. Not so good anywhere else really though. ARAGON's up next. His only skill, it's kind of weird, a couple of units only have 1 skill. Hits 3 enemies, inflicts buff duration reduction, and can also inflict stun. His passive is a permanent all attack reduction for all enemies, and can inflict crit rate reduction on them as well, plus it can heal himself. Not really great in anything, he's okay in a lot of things though. Now we got Alice. Basic attack gives continuous healing to one ally, which is pretty good for a basic attack. Skill 1 gives all allies defense boost and continuous healing, and skill 2 is just straight team healing. And her passive is a defense boost for all allies, plus it heals herself as well. So good for anywhere you need a healer, because that's pretty much all she does. She's like Lina, but without the damage boosts as well. Ballista's up next. Only skill that she has hits 3 enemies with piercing damage and activates again when killing an enemy. Her passive grants herself camouflage and chance to do follow-up attacks. Also gives her all damage nullification and an extra attack that's an AoE after she uses 4 attacks. Another unit that's decent in a lot of stuff, not the best in anything. Now we got Chancellor. Skill 1 hits 1 enemy with the most buffs, inflict 3 buff removals and defense reduction, plus extra damage from his defense. Skill 2 hits 3 enemies, inflicts increased miss chance and all damage reduction. His passive is a self-heal, inflicts all enemies with damage reduction, and deals damage to 3 enemies when using any attack 3 times. Plus, gives himself all damage immunity. He's got quite a bit packed into that passive. Now we got Rook. His skill 1 deals single target damage plus 75% of his own max HP. His basic attack adds his own HP as well. Skill 2 gives all allies a barrier, and his passive buffs all allies block rate and gives himself a physical resistance buff. Really good in Nightmare Adventure, Tower Trials, Arena, just really good for absorbing damage. So anywhere you need to last a little bit longer, he's there for the barriers and block rate. Now we got SIEG. He deals high single target damage with skill 1 that also inflicts damage reduction, and skill 2 deals even higher damage that ignores defense and heals all allies, while his passive grants all allies stun immunity on battle start as well as after basic attacks. Also gives back row allies physical attack boost, which he also grants after 2 attacks. Really good anywhere that you just need really high damage. Also for Castle Rush, he's good in the Ancient Dragon Castle. Next up is Shane with her single skill that deals really high damage and extra damage for each debuff on the target. Also has a really short cooldown, it's only 38 seconds. Her passive grants herself a magic resistance and crit rate boost and damages an enemy after using any attack 3 times. This also deals extra damage if the target has debuffs. So good anywhere that the enemy is going to have a lot of debuffs and you need constant damage applied, such as Destroy Your Gaze, Tower Trials. She's also really good in Castle Rush, just for Hell Castle though. Now we got Nia. Her basic attack can inflict shock, which is basically a stun. Her skill 1 is an AoE that can also inflict shock, and skill 2 is an AoE that inflicts buff duration reduction and can inflict skill cooldown increase, while her passive is a self barrier and effect hit rate buff. So very specific use cases for her. And she's also good in Castle Rush for her skill cooldowns and shocks, which are like stuns. Might have been a bit generous with the Nightmare Adventure and Tower Trials, or Infinite Tower, but she's definitely good Castle Rush and Arena. So next up we have RURI. Skill 1 hits 3 enemies with extra damage on weakness hits. Skill 2 does the same thing, except it also ignores defense. And her passive gives herself magic damage boost and heal plus a weakness hit chance boost. So good in Nightmare Adventure and Castle Rush, specifically Guardian, Fodina, and Immortal Castles. VELIKA is up next. Basic attack reduces all allies' skill cooldowns, but just in Infinite Tower and Tower Trials. Skill 1 is an AoE that can burn and deals extra damage when it crits. Skill 2 is also an AoE that deals extra damage on crits, but it also applies magic vulnerability and can inflict silence. Her passive is a self crit rate boost, a barrier, and a team magic damage boost. Really good in the towers, obviously. Reducing cooldowns is huge. Next up, we have everybody's favorite healer, Lina. Her basic attack heals the lowest HP ally. Skill 1 heals all allies plus gives them continuous healing. Skill 2 grants all allies damage boost and inflicts defense reduction to all enemies. Passive gives all enemies effect resist boost and crit damage boost and herself a barrier. She's good almost everywhere. You always need healing in almost every case, but she also increases the damage your whole team deals. In 2 ways, damage boost for your allies, defense reduction for your enemies. So Castle Rush is S tier for the healing, damage boost, defense reduction. She's a little top heavy, but she's just really good everywhere. So, second last, don't worry, we're almost done. We got SHIN. His basic attack inflicts effect resist reduction, which is huge. Skill 1 hits 3 enemies twice and can inflict paralysis, and gives 2 debuff removals to 3 allies. Skill 2 is an AoE that inflicts incoming healing reduction, which is really helpful in certain stages and places in the game, and it can also inflict paralysis, while his passive grants himself all damage immunity and gives all allies effect hit rate boost. So really good Nightmare Adventure. Paralysis is awesome. Incoming healing reduction really helps too against those damn jellies or slimes, whatever, mushrooms. Can't remember what they are off the top of my head. Now, our last unit is KNOX. Skill 1 is an AoE that inflicts effect resist reduction plus gives himself all damage immunity. Skill 2 hits 3 enemies and can inflict death, while his passive gives death effect probability boost to all allies and a barrier to himself. So effect resist reduction is pretty much what you're going to be using him for. The death thing, I mean, you could go with that. You could go with, was it Chris? Him and Chris could probably apply some deaths, but effect resist reduction can help out a ton when you're trying to like stun enemies or even just apply like bleeds and poisons in the power-up dungeons. So it's anywhere you need to apply effects, really good there. So out of all of these units, you're really going to want to get your hands on PASCAL for some seriously high single target damage. It's really good on Iron Devourer. LINA is fantastic in practically every single part of the game. Really good healer plus damage buffs. ESPADA is going to be needed to farm the Ox King at higher tiers. Daisy is needed in there as well if you don't have a really good Black Rose built. SHIN for Destroyer Gaze. SHIN for Nightmare Adventure for stuns. RURI is great in Castle Rush along with TAKA and MIHO. So those should be who you want to go for basically. So let me know if this style was any better. If you watched my rare tier list, I did it in, I think it was just longer the way I did it. So this time, as I'm explaining, I'm going back and I'm moving the footage of me putting them in the tiers underneath that. So it should help streamline things, be a little bit shorter. I just felt like the last one was a little bit too long for everybody. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below if you think all my rankings are correct. And wait for my Legendary Plus tier list to come out. Try to get that done sometime this week. So catch you next time. See ya.